Hi, this is Matt Navarre, and I'm here with Summer.
Hi, thanks for checking out the training.
And we're doing a quick training on the GENIS software program. So this is the main menu that you get when you log in, and from here you can see you've got several buttons. You can see recently viewed records, which we'll get to. There's also a tab for actions for things you need to follow up on, and then a tab for other things like if you want to get support. You can also just click List Patients. There's a button over here from the left, and that will list all the patients that you can see within your clinic. And then any of these patients you can just click on, and it will take you right to the patient details screen. So let's go back to the home menu here, and we'll start the process of creating a new patient. What do you say?
That sounds great. Let's do it.
So you click New Patient here from the top of the screen, and you put in basic information on the name.
And it's also going to ask you the type, so you can choose to have the patient classified as HBOC, Lynch, FAP, or General, and that will determine what questions are asked of the patient.
Which we use for our demo today.
Let's do HBOC.
Good enough. And then we click Create Record over here. That will do a search to see if that record's already in there, and if it's not, it goes ahead and creates a new record, and then takes you to the Contact Info tab, the last tab, where we can put basic information in. And we can just tab through the fields and put in information like email address.
And from the beginning, you can use this to enter any sort of information that you want as the clinic. Later on, if you consent the patient, there'll be fields that are highlighted in bright yellow that indicate to you that we really need to know those answers as well if the patient's consented.
On a lot of numbers, a lot of the data entry fields, it'll automatically format it as you enter. So for example, on a phone number, we can just put in 503-444-2222, and then it'll automatically add the dashes and everything that we need. If there's multiple phone numbers, you can just click Best on the one that's the primary one you want to use. Similarly for addresses, you can just click New Address and add an address.
And if for some reason you want to keep the old addresses or a temporary address in there, you can fill in those multiple addresses, but mark the one that you know to be current as current.
Yep. Should we consent, or should we go on to some of the other tabs?
Oh, well, let's consent, just so we can see that bright yellow and see if we've missed anything.
So we click Consent. Oh yeah, now this actually takes us to the consent form screen. So if we actually have a consent form on our computer, we can click Insert Consent Form. And then if there's a scanned PDF or something like that, we can put that in. I'll just put a picture of myself in here, because why not? Something to put in.
Great.
And let's see.
Let's go back to that consent tab.
Back to the consent
Or
tab.
the contact tab, sorry.
Contact tab.
And all you can see is that one bright yellow box, which is how the patient would like to be contacted by us. And so you just fill that in, and we're good for this tab.
Right, to take the survey. Okay, let's get through some of the other tabs.
Okay.
Let's actually click back over here to General. Okay, I noticed that a lot of things are bright yellow now on the General tab.
Yes, and that's because the patient has consented. There's a fair amount of information that we need to collect for our study. Hopefully you'll be able to use this information as well.
So, date of birth, that'll automatically calculate the age, language, race, Hispanic or Latino, Jewish ancestry, and then zip code, which is different than the patient's current address, but just a zip code for other tracking.
Yeah, it's a way for us to measure some other indicators.
That automatically looks up city and state. Referring provider. A lot of these things have drop-down lists, which should make data entry much easier to do. So let's say this was referred by the OBGYN because there's a known BRCA mutation in the family, maybe.
Perfect, yeah. And if at any time you're feeling restricted by the choices that you're allowed, please call me and let me know, and we can change things to suit what's actually happening in the clinic.
A Caribbean, Western European, why not? Make random data. Okay, then we can flip over to the Risk tab. So this tracks a lot of different types of risks about this particular patient.
And just use this tab as you would for tracking any clinic information that you need. Again, what we need is highlighted in that bright yellow. So most of the information in this tab really is for you to use and be able to track the information that you need to get access to.
Right, so if you don't know much information here, but you do know, some things about it, you can just click through. Do they meet guidelines? Have they been diagnosed with breast or ovarian cancer? No. And then if they had, you could actually put in information about that. So let's say this person actually had cancer when they were 30. Notice, by the way, when I click yes here, it says, oh, I really need to know some information about what's in these lines, but there's nothing there yet. So I click new. That will create a line here, and I can choose what type of cancer it was. So let's say they had breast cancer when they were 30. Yeah, the current age maybe should be automatic, but we can type that in anyway. And then also another really important area is the family history of cancer. So if we say that's unknown at this time, now that will work here very similarly to cancer for the patient themselves. You just basically add if it's maternal or paternal. So maybe let's say we actually do know that there was that the patient's mother had ovarian cancer. Date of diagnosis. And if you don't know the exact month and day, I think the policy is just going to use the first of the month.
Yeah, to default to the first of the month.
So in 19, let's say in 1982, the mother had ovarian cancer. We would just put in 1/182. Oh, I think we see a little bug there.
Yeah.
It's not storing the date. Yeah, some of the stuff is in development, so we're working through some of these bugs. So we'll skip past that for now. Let's go over to the Result tab. This is going to be where you calculate a priori risk and other test result data for the patient. So if we click New Result, we can put in a date of the result that was entered, or that was received. So we can say 4/4, there was a BRCA1 test, and it was positive, and we can put in variant information here. And then once we have all the information we need to calculate it, we can just click New Risk here up on top, and that adds a line for a priori risk, and we can put in which model was used to calculate it. So maybe BRCA Pro, and then what the risk is. And I think this is
It'll be a decimal.
a decimal number, which I think you can enter with or without the decimal. So if we calculate, 40%, we can just type in 40, and that stores it as 40%.
Okay. And if you use multiple models, you can just add a new risk and enter that information in as well.
Right. So if our second one is, what's a good example?
How about the Gale model?
Which one?
Gale.
Gale. Calculate it maybe 35%.
Yeah. And then, if you use both of those risk models and have your own clinical assessment, you can write in where it says clinical assessment, your general sense of their risk and why you're ordering, what particular test you're ordering, if that's helpful for you to have in the notes.
More, we get a bunch of other information about this patient. You can enter date and timestamp notes here. So like every time you visit the patient, you can put in a note, and this pops up in a new window, and we can put information like, patient. And then when you're done, just close it. You can also schedule notes as to be done. So if you click this one as complete, that'll actually be a note that's part of the history. But if you want to enter a note that's actually a to-do item for a future date, you can also do that as well. So let's say, for example, if you have something that you want to do tomorrow, you can put in the day that tomorrow at 10 a.m. You want to do a follow-up. You want to call to confirm test results or something. That will actually now appear on your main menu that we briefly looked at a minute ago. on that date as a to-do item. So we go back to home, and then we go to actions. Right there it is as a to-do note. And the nice thing about that is, let's pick one of these other ones. We can just click on it, and it will take you directly to the note. And so we can see what's going on from there.
And if you look up at the top left, you'll see that note's connected with a particular patient. So if you want to go to their information, you can click on that.
Right, so we can click right here and go to
back
India.
into the patient detail.
Now we're on patient, and we can also get back to the note really easily by going over back to more, and then there's the note. And then we want to complete the note so that it's no longer on our menu. We can click complete. And actually, you can click this complete checkbox anywhere you see the note, from the menu, from the list, from anywhere. It doesn't have to be from the note detail screen. And then once we click it as done, it'll show up as clicked, let's see, on more here. And then when we go back to the menu, to actions, it's just gone from the list. And then let's get rid of this one too, just by clicking done here. And then when we commit that by either hitting enter or clicking into the gray area outside of the field, it will commit that change. By the way, notice that there's no save command here. Everything we do is always saved. It's generally when you make a click to get out from one screen to the next, that's when it commits everything you're doing on that one screen. And so your undo action is pretty much just the one thing that you're doing right then. So, for example, if I'm looking at a note here and I type a bunch of stuff here, if I just hit undo, it just undoes that one thing.
Looking at all of our old materials.
Now, that isn't something to be feared. This is actually a good thing. But if you do find that you've been working on the wrong patient file or whatever, just give us a call. And we have everything we need in the background to backtrack. We'd rather not hear about that every day.
Right. There's also a search system. So from most anywhere in the system, you can click up here and you can type in the name of the person you're searching on. So we can just type in Juan, for example, and that will search everywhere in the system into this little window here, and then show us that result. And then just click here, and it takes us right to that record. What was the name of the other patient we made today?
You know, I can't at all remember.
Yeah, I can't either.
Time for a coffee break.
You can also put other things in here, like the date. Jerry Jones, that's what I did.
Okay.
So by putting it in as a date, it'll actually show us the patient record right here. And then we can just click on that record and then get to the detail of it right there. Yeah, so this search thing is quite useful. And then when we're done, we can just close that window that pops up. Well, that's it for the basic training. We'll have more detailed training in the future for the reporting system and from other systems that are going to be built into GENIS. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks. Bye.